Hello, welcome back to another video. As you saw in the last video, I got the front windscreen out. Let's take a closer look and see how really bad it is. Now I've gone around with the vacuum cleaner and cleaned out all the dirt. It's surprising how much dirt you can collect under a windscreen rubber. Now that is sitting over there. I think that'll be good. I managed to save that, but can't say the same for the actual window, but that should clean up all right and be able to use again. I've got to work out how to get those wipers off, and I want to cover the dash, and I want to start wire wheeling this, and that'll really show how bad it is. But if we go start at this bottom corner here, I was expecting that to be a lot worse than what it is. So that is just going to be like a patch there. There's a little bit of bubbling there. I knew the A-pillar was bad, so it's going to need a bit of work in there. And I left this to repair while the window was out. Corner up here is not too bad, but as we get along the top of the roof, that's where the hidden funky goodness was. Like, I didn't think anything was going to be wrong up here, but we've got a bad piece there. And then I'll just zip around the other side. And if we look at this piece here, that's cactus. The lip's good, so it's going to have to be sliced along there, cut out, hopefully not too far into the roof. And there's, so how I'm going to put that radius on there will be fun. Other than that, the top's good for those two bits. Little bit of chunky there, that should hopefully wire wheel out. And then as we come down, the A-pillar on this side is good. I knew I had that, and until I vacuumed out all the dust, I didn't realise how bad that was. So, ooh, look at that. Layers coming off, so that's going to have to be done. That's probably going to be lip and that piece there. So that's a big repair. Go around the wiper. Hopefully that's mainly just surface rust and will wire wheel off, but I don't like the look of this chunky bits here. Having said that, I'm going to say there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6 repair pieces on here I'm going to have to do. And I don't think any of them are going to be little, unfortunately. But I want to get these wipers off and then cover the dash and then start the wire wheel and get it back to bare metal. Okay, so to get one of these wipers off, you've got this little cap here. You just want to pop him up, 13mm socket, but the nuts are not very tight at all. I don't know if they're meant to be that loose, but they are. So you take the nut off, and then get your screwdriver again and just pop it up under the arm, and it'll pop off. Put your nut back on so you don't lose it. And that's how that's done. Pretty simple. I'm ready to get attacked in the face from the wire wheels, so see how many times I can get hit. I've covered the dash because I don't want that to get damaged, because there's a lot of work going into that to change colours. So I'll start with the top-ish part, and we'll go from there. Well, it appears the further I dig, the worse it gets, but I'm going to end the time lapse here because you don't need to see me get stuck with these every 42 seconds. So I'll get back to you once I've cleaned it all up and show you how bad it really is. It's not good. Oh, after a few hours, I think I've got all the paint off that I need to get off around the window lip, and let's have a closer look at what's going on. That there will probably need to be cut out to there. We have a hole there that the wire wheel just blew through. A little bit there, a little bit there. The side of the A-pillar is hacked. We go up and around, and we're going to have to fix that. There's a little bit of pitting along. Don't think that'll be too bad, but we'll have a look when we get there. And then we've got the really bad bit here. Just going to need a big patch panel. And we come down to the bottom. That surface rust that was along there blew off, which was quite good. And come to the driver's side. It's a lot worse than the other side, so we're going to need probably to replace that because there's layers missing. That's, you know, all, whether I do one piece, two piece there, I don't know. But pretty much from there to there is shot. There's a little hole there. Hopefully that can just, a bit of welding that, and that'll be good. But this is probably my biggest concern. Other than that, it's perfect. Well, I'm going to go inside because earmuffs really hurt my ears and I need to rest them. Having said that, I got hit in the face maybe 5-6 times and one piece of wire sticking out my face. If you have a look at my t-shirt here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oh, one and right in the groin. Another one here, what's that, 8, 9. I'm sure I'll find some more when I go inside, but I'm going for a rest and I'll come back out later. Well, it's time to start repairing the rust. Which piece do I start with? I don't know. That piece there and that piece on that corner are probably the hardest ones. Roof shouldn't be too bad. And I reckon that's probably going to be the easiest one to start with. So I'm going to start right here. So I'll cut that out and start making up a patch. Okay, that piece is cut out and we have the rusty piece here. But if we look at the back of that, again, gone through holes, but no rust anywhere else on there. So I don't know why it's turning out like that, but it's probably better. So I'm going to clean up that hole. And when I remake this, there's just a little curve on the back side of that, which goes around that little corner there. Probably in the middle of it actually, and it's ready to buzz in, and I've nicked it there a bit, so we can repair that when we do some welding. Progress has been made. Patch panel number 1 has been made. It didn't fit in my folding machine back there because it's too skinny, so in the vise with a large banging stick, slowly tap it down, and as I got close to the shape, I just put it on the pillar here and tapped it so it would mimic that shape there. And it does only go one way. I can't remember which. It looks like it's that way. So I'll tack in one side, so then I can get my hand out of the way, and then after that's in, tack in the other side and massage it to any place that it needs to go, and that can be fully welded in. But that won't be today, that will be after work tomorrow. So I have that piece tacked in. That was a bit of an effort because I did drop that piece down the hole, which then ended up going down here. But luckily, if you come in here, if you do drop it, there is an opening here and it falls through the bottom. It did get caught in the wiring, but I was able to fish it out. So that's ready to be fully buzzed in, and I shall start that right now. Well, that's fully welded in, but not without dramas. I did manage to catch the carpet on fire. Not a big deal, seeing it's going to go in the rubbish anyway, but that was big flames. And then that sponge caught fire. So I think the next piece before I weld on, I've got to strip out the inside of the car, because I don't want it to burn down. So that's ready to grind back. Maybe I'll start cleaning out some of this rubbish while that cools down. And just like that, that piece is ground back and finished. I do, however, need to blob up that. But that is in. And it's amazing how easy it is to weld when you don't have, when you're not lying upside down or anything, and there's plenty of light. So that piece has turned out very well. Very happy. Which piece is next? I don't know. Maybe I'll go on to one of those two, I reckon. But first, I have to get out this carpet seat, get everything out, so no more fires, because that's not good for anybody. That's what I have marked out to cut out here on the top of the roof. So I'll get that zipped out right now. That piece has a little bit of surface rust behind it, but it's a fairly nice clean cut, so I'm going to make up something similar to that shape, and we're good to go. Hopefully that other piece there is simple like this one, but let's get this one made up and we'll see how we go. Well, I finished making that patch, well, not finished actually, but I've got the front side and curve done. Now I made it a little bit longer so I could use it in the bending machine behind that fan, but I need to take off maybe 10 to 12 mil off the back side of that, and it should slot straight in. Well, I now have the driver's seat out, and that put up one hell of a fight. 2 bolts were easy to access, 2 were not, so that took over an hour to get out. I have stripped the front half of the carpet out, and I don't know whether this is from factory or not, but there's a hell of a lot of sound deadening in this car. So the floors are pretty good that I can see under this thick coat of rubber that's like glued or sprayed or something on. And I found a safety pin too. And I also found a $2 coin, which is a bonus. But under the carpet is also rubber lined foam, which I don't know is factory or not. And there's still some in the car that I haven't pulled out yet. Look at this. More. And that goes under the dash and round to under the driver's pedals as well. Doesn't appear to be in the back half, just the front half. And there's more underlay there, but yeah, the whole floor is coated in this rubbery thing. So not sure if that's factory or not, but that patch piece is ready to go. I've just hit a bit of a zinc primer. Fits nicely. And the next thing is tack that in and then weld. See you when I'm up to that spot. Well, there we have the patch panel in place, ready to weld in. Let's get to it. Alright, I'm sick of this thing catching fire, and I got to get the rest of that carpet out. It stinks in here, stinks. Alright, all the carpet's out. What can catch fire now? Probably wiring or something, I don't know. At least that's tacked in, then point there, which I'm not really pointing, but anyway. At least it's tacked in, then let's finalise the whole thing. Okay, that piece is in. It's turned out not too shabby. The only issue that I did have was I let it get a bit too hot on the top, on the roof skin, and it has a little buckle there, but half a mil of filler, you'll never notice. And also, the window rubber comes up over that anyway, so not going to be too noticeable, but I'll fix it up anyway. On to that one. Here is the next patch. I have marked where I'm going to cut it out. A little bit extra because it is very moldy. I don't trust that if I cut into that when I go to weld, it's just going to blow holes. So I'm going to cut above that and yeah, have to make a pretty big patch. So let's get it out. And there we have that rusty goodness. It's out for good. Now, if you can see in there, there's a bit of surface rust and stuff in there that I'll need to clean up before we replace that, but that's okay. That would have been from water getting in from all these holes. I'm marking out my piece of steel for the replacement panel. Now what I do is line up that edge, or a edge, with that there, and then roll it over, and that will give me those two dots up the top there are what the piece size actually is, but I want to give myself another 15-20 mil extra, so I move that up, mark it there. That's just so when I fold the steel, if I don't get it in the right place, I can cut back either side until the bend is in the place that I want it. So if I mark that there and put the fold there, you know, if I'm out by a couple of mil, it's not going to line up when I put it on the car. So I'll go mark it like that, and then probably mark it there, put a dot there and a dot there, rule across, and then I'll fold it. So just to have that little extra steel, just in case. And here we go, that's that there. So the fold would be there. I've given myself an extra 5 mil. So on top of that, so I should have 5 mil extra here, and probably 10 mil up there that I'll have to trim off. So 5 there, 10 there, that's the extra 15 mil that we'll need to trim off at the back end. But that fold should not be in the wrong place after I cut it back. So that's about the angle that you want, close to 90 degrees. So if you put that, line that like that, it will get similar angles. And if you put that in there like that, top is pretty spaced out level, so I need now to trim the bottom, work out what that distance is that I need to cut off. Obviously don't cut it too short, and once we've got that bit done, then we can trim the top half to fit that line, or even that one. So it turns out I need about 8 to 9 mil cut off, but I'm going to start with 5 and then go slowly after that. Maybe cut that bit off and then grind it down to the right size. See, that's why I left extra on the lip. See, I was only putting 5 mil there and it turned out to be like 8, 9 mil. So always leave extra material. My gap now is down to probably 2 to 3 mil. It's probably worth another cut before I start the grinding. So we'll do another line, cut that off and see how we go. Just a thick texture line, and that should be pretty close, I reckon. So it needs about 10 mil off the top, and then we'll time for another test fit. As you can see there, it's getting very close, but I believe there is a slight curve that needs to go in it. I don't know how I plan to do that. I still need to take a little bit off there and a little bit off there, and hopefully it's just a half or a tenth of a mil curve. If that's the case, tack it, tap it, weld it. But we're getting there, Wow, would you look at that? That is pretty darn close. I need to just take a little bit more off here, and I would say a little bit more off the bottom there, because you want a bit of a gap all the way around before you weld, and that would be ready to go in, I reckon. So it's oh so close. So I have that tacked in now, and the plan is to go slowly because I don't want to warp that as I did with the other piece. So slowly, and it turns out that that piece does not need a slight curve in it. It is flat. So if you look here, flat, as we get to the piece we repaired last time, flat. It's when you get to the edges where it starts to curve. And then same again on this side. So we're flat, and then as we get closer to the edge, we got a little bit of gap, and that's where you start to get that curve in there. So it turns out that bit needs to be flat, which it is, but the goal is nice and slow so we don't warp it, and yeah, let it cool down properly every time, even before grinding, so there's less work at the end. And back again, that's fully welded in, so I'm going to let that cool down properly and go and have some lunch. But it has warped in there again, just a little bit. I'm putting that down to the sun coming in from outside, because it's really hot again today, and that's just even hot to touch from the sun coming in on it. So the steel isn't having enough time to cool down properly. And B, the steel that I'm welding in is thicker than the original, plus I think the roof skin is actually not as thick a steel as what I thought. So it's very flimsy. That's why, you know, it does that. So that's what I'm putting that down to, but it can all be fixed up afterwards. So time for lunch, then I'll come back out, grind it, and see where we're at. There'll probably be a few little pinholes that we'll need to zip back up, but other than that, looking good. All right, that is now ground back, and that's about as far as I'm going to go on that. Yes, it does need, as always with my metal skills, a tiny bit of filler, but once that's on, you'll never notice. So, it's either now on to that monstrosity, or this side. I'm guessing whichever side is not the worst. And they're both pretty shitty. So, yeah, let's get stuck into this. I've marked out what I think is no good in green texture. I could probably go down there. That bit there is alright, and then that as a separate one. But that's spot welded on there, and that's a 2-layer lip. Instead of cutting the whole thing out, I think I will unpick that and then cut that and do 2 separate ones, I think. But I'll start with drilling out those and see how it goes after that. A bit of cutting and drilling has been going on, and this should come out like that. Again, holes where the rust is. That should clean up pretty good, but it appears the inside of that's all right. It's just been eating its way through the top side. So I reckon I could have just probably welded those up, but it's too late now. It's out. So I'll somehow remake that. As I suspected, that underpiece cleans up very nicely. It's just a shame I find it hard to get in there, but we'll hit it with rust converter before we put the new piece back in. I'll probably redo that before I do that. Somehow I bent that. Okay, fixed. Just studying this piece, I may have to make it in 2 pieces, because this here has a curve and I don't know how to fold curves. But if I do it in 2 pieces, if I fold that at a slight angle, then fold that as a slight angle, join the 2 together, it'll make kind of a radius. Obviously you fold that one straight, but you fold that one slightly inwards to that one, and that one would be slightly more in on that side than that side, and then weld the 2 together. I think that is how I will have to do it, because I can't fold curves. I don't even know where to begin with that, so I'll try 2 pieces. First piece of that piece is well underway. It needs a trim there and needs a trim there, but look at that shape that's got to be made. Now that wasn't easy, but I'll tell you how I did it. I was wondering, and I thought, I've got a piece of pool fence bar here, and thought, I wonder if I just bend that, that'll get the shape. Yes, I bent that, that got the shape, but how do you mold steel over that, which is aluminium and you're going to squash anyway, so you can't. So what I did was over here at my folding bender thing is I marked out where this curve here is, put that in there, and then bent that up till I got something similar to what this piece here is, just to kind of get the shape. And I went to my vise, and then now I've got to think of which way I did it. I only had one bend in it, and I didn't have that bottom bend, so I put it in at the angle which is going to give the curve, clamped that in, and then just tapped it with a hammer till I got that shape like that, and then marked on here so all the folds are in the same place where that bend's going to be. Went back over to the bender, put it in, it would have been like that, and then bent this already curved piece up till it got like that, and that's how I bent it. Just hope I can remember how to do it with the other piece, but if you look at this, it's pretty close. Like, yes, it needs a little bit of work on that piece, just go down a touch, but other than that, that's pretty damn close. So trim that up and make that bigger section. There we have it, almost at final fitment. Still a little bit more to take off here, but that's pretty darn close. It needs 5mm taken off this edge, but I'll do that after that piece is made. Okay, next piece is cut out. I'll see if I can remember how to do it, and I'll video it in case anybody's wondering. First bend, which is going to be, not that one because that's last. Hang on. Okay, back again. First bend is the middle one. Then we do first bend, second bend, third bend. So we'll bend that one up first. Get the piece so we know which way to bend. So that's the middle one there. Knowing my luck, it's going to be on the other side. Stand him up. Just there. If we look, that one wants to go that way, so that one wants to go. Hang on, I need to concentrate. So it wants to go in this way. So, see if I can do it one hand. Bend it up. About yay. Undo it. Come back to our piece. And check it. Check the fold is somewhere in the vicinity of what I want. So with something like that, it's pretty close. So the next one is we need to then straighten it and put it that way. So that mark I need to make onto the other side of the piece. But I'm going to put it on here, mark where it wants to be. So it wants to be there, so that's in the right spot. And if we go on that side, just line it up. See, that's in the right spot as well. It's close. It needs to come back a tiny bit. So that needs to come back to about there. Just go through, around to the other side. There, around to the other side. Rule it off. So the next fold was to be somewhere along there. So now I go to the vise, take my other piece, to the vise. So that piece now needs to go up. So if I go there, if that fits in there, that'll be nice, but I doubt it will. No, it doesn't, so we have to go that way. Put it on the line. Line it up. And just double check which way it wants to go. Not that way. It's got to be hit back this way. Still needs a tiny bit more and check it. What am I doing here? I think I'm on the wrong side. I am. It's all bloody wrong. Way too far down. What have I done wrong here? Turns out my line was too far down. If I've got to move it up, flatten it back out, we'll put a bend there. Getting pretty close. It's time to bend that bit, I reckon. And then I can fine tune it after that. That's about where I want to do the last fold. Get my piece again. Just so I know which way I'm bending it. So I'm like that, that has to go up. So it has to go in that way. Now hopefully that's in the right place. And bend. And that should be close. Okay, there I have the two pieces that line up pretty damn close to each other. Now, when that goes in, that's gonna have to go, obviously still needs to be trimmed up. Trim off there, trim down there, trim down there. So that bit's gonna go something like that. And then this piece still needs to be trimmed up. It's gonna go something like that. Needs to be trimmed along there. And weld the two together. Bingo bango. Window lip repaired. With funny shapes and all. Now I'm going to finish trimming those up to the right shape and come back to you when it's ready to weld together. Now there may need to be a tiny piece of steel that needs to get welded in there as well, because I didn't make this piece quite wide enough, but that's no biggie. Piece is cut back to sizes, and I have one tack in there, and that's pretty much ready to go and be welded. Just need to get that back a little bit, I believe. Get those lines lined up. Lines up all right there. Just need that one needs to come out a touch that way, I believe. And then it's ready to fully weld together. All right, that is now welded together. Now I need to drill a few holes in the back there for the spot welds into that panel, and it does need a little bit of massaging on this corner and that corner to get the full shape of that, but we'll do that once that's tacked in and I can just tap it down. In the middle it's good, it's just the ends there sticking up a little bit, so they just need to flatten out a little bit. We're pretty good all the way around here, maybe a little low there, just pick it up a tiny bit, come round a little bit, and that's lining up pretty good. Well, I have a few tacks in here, there and around the place. I've drilled my holes to plug weld. I've belted that side to get it down levelish with that. That side came down all right. There is quite a wide gap to fill with weld, but I think I'm up to the job. Let's see if I can get this thing fully welded in. Okay, I'm going to let that cool for a while and finish welding it up, and I'll show you what that's like when I'm done. It's going to take a while, and I would think that you would not rather just sit through time lapse that never ends, so we'll fast forward right now. Well, there I have it. It's fully welded in. I don't think there's too much distortion going on anywhere. Still quite warm, so I'm going to let that cool properly, and I'll grind that once that's fully cooled down, because I don't really want any warpage. But that panel has turned out pretty darn good. They're not the best welds, but probably my best welds, but as you can see, I'm no welder, but it'll do for me, and once it's ground down, hardly anyone will ever know. Grinding back has begun and is almost done. So far, from what I can see, there's only a couple of pinholes that I have to retouch up. There's one there, and there's that little bit in there. Those dark spots are low spots. We will fix that later, but all in all, that repair has turned out pretty darn good. I'm going to fix up those pinholes. Just one other thing before we etch prime and go to the other side. I did repair that. There was a hole there, and I've just found another hole there that I'm going to fix. And I just need to put a little piece in there, and then this section is done. So yes, there was this bit that I was going to cut out here, but it turns out I was able to repair that. Just need to add that little bit in that corner there, and this side is done. Okay, now it's done. Even that piece in there is done. Now I'll etch prime the damn thing and get to the other side. Moving right along from finishing that side, I have to do the exact same thing on this side. I have cut the piece out already, and as you can see, there's a fair bit missing on this side. So that will clean up all right. There's still a bit of that on here, but that's okay. Again, not too bad on the underside. It's just rusted through, and it has got a coating, so crap going inside the window rubber, sitting in there, rusting it out. I will do the same as I did on that side. This I will make in 2 pieces, weld together, fit in. As I showed you pretty much step by step on that side, I will go ahead and make this and get it in without too much blah, as this video is already very long. So I will get to making that. I'll show you any little important steps along the way if any come up, but got to get to work. And just a quick update on how the other side's coming. 2 pieces are cut out, folded. Now just got to trim to size, make it fit, weld it together and get it back in. But the second time around is a lot quicker than the first time around, I can tell you that. So know where to fold, know when to bend. You know, the old Kenny Rogers, you got to know when to hold, know when to fold. But I'll keep soldiering on. Well guys, I've been working hard. That's now welded together and almost proper fitment. Shave a little bit more off there, I reckon. Put some holes in there for the plug welding. As with the other side, tap down there, get it onto the lip, and it's ready to go. Maybe take a little bit off there too. But all up, that's probably 4 hours work there. So it's not quick, it's very slow, time consuming, but it's almost ready to weld in. So I'm going to drill the holes for the plug, shave a little bit off, prime it, and then we can weld the thing in. Okay, time for another update. That is now welded in, just needs to be ground back, but I have a hot tip for you guys. If you ever decide to do these repairs with your dash in, make sure you take these out. These bits here, they go, you know, under the dash here to cover up all the venting and everything. This foam gets one little spark on it, boom, goes up in flames. So I had a dash fire. I severely melted out the heater duct, so that needs to be repaired. And I also burnt my hand trying to put it out. But other than that and breaking the clips as I was trying to rip it out, because I didn't want to get a screwdriver and pull it out slowly because the thing was on fire, I just ripped it out and broke it. But I've repaired the clips, and yes, take those out. That foam is very flammable. But I'm going to grind this and we'll catch up soon. And there I have it. That has been ground back and quickly gone over with the air sander. And all that's left to do now is etch prime, and then the arduous task of body working this, and then it's done. It wasn't too bad. There's a few little pinholes that I had to re-weld back up. Other than that, it's turned out pretty good. I did have a little rust hole right there. Buzzed that up, didn't grow much bigger, and cleaned up all right. So that's it for the rust. Now I've just got to do the finishing touches, and that'll be it. Next stage of the process is underway. There's a bit of filler that's pitting. Just a little bit of filler to smooth that over. A little bit on top of the roof there. And we've got that section just repaired over there. And this one here. Majority of that will be sanded off when I find where I put my sanding equipment. It's in here somewhere. And it may need another coat of filler just to fill some pinholes, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to get sanding and I'll get back to you shortly. Well, I've been sanding and doing a hell of a lot of sanding. Almost finished the body filler part. Now, I'll start here in this corner here. There was a low spot there, so I just had to slather that whole spot, get it nice and flat, and just the pitting there, just filled that in. Oh, got to sand that bit, I haven't done that yet, but that's nice and smooth. Coming to the top of the roof, I've got that bit done. That bit there is a low spot, I just need to put a bit more filler in that, and then that'll be done. And just coming to the other side, there's even less filler. Just a little bit in the window lip there to make it a bit smoother. Just a little bit on here where it got a little hot. A little bit of pitting there. That side's good. If we get all the magneto out, you see it's not very thick. It still sticks. The thickest part that I've found is not here. Where that low spot is, that's probably the thickest part of it. It's just got a little bit of magnetizing in it. So that one obviously got very hot and warped quite a fair bit, but I'd rather it be a little bit of filler there and in the proper shape than have a bit of warpage funny looking there, because that's going to be at the front of the car and everyone's going to notice it. But that, if you didn't know that was there, you wouldn't know that there was a repair there. So I'm going to rebog that, and that should be, after that should be the last of the sanding, and then I can move on to something else. Alrighty, more sanding, more bogging, but I think I'm there. That's pretty flat, I'm happy with that. Gonna give it a once over with say 180 before I etch prime it. They're good, that's good. What I've decided to do is I have taken out the washer jets and the wiper arm linkages, and I'm gonna scrape or wire wheel the paint off that and etch prime the whole lot at once instead of doing it in two separate occasions. And once the etch prime on, I'm done. Back again. Ran into a little issue. I was stripping that paint down, and when I got to this section here, I didn't strip the paint before I put the filler, which meant I had a lip and I had to re-sand it down. No good. So had to re-fill it all, sand it again. So I did similar to that side, smushed it all on, nice and flat, sand, Now, I think I'm finally done, ready for etch prime after I blow it all down, cover up the dash, and it's go time. Oh, and just a quick note or a hot tip if you want it. The nozzle jet things are the same on a VK or VB to VL are the same as VN to VS. So if you break them getting them off as I did, you can either just go to your donor car, or if you see out that window there, there's a VS bonnet there, and they both have nozzles that I'm going to steal for this. So take that tip if you want it. If not, forget it. But I'm going to keep moving on. Well, there we go, guys. That about wraps up this repair. It's come up quite well. Yes, you can still see a bit of where the filler is under the etch prime, but once that's primed, sanded, undercoated, painted, you'll never see it. It's come up very, very well. Even the top of that roof there, I've managed to get that pretty straight without any waves or anything, so that's turned out well. I haven't managed to destroy the top of the dash. Underneath is a different story, but yeah. I'm not going to lie to you, that was a bloody tough job. Bloody tough, but I got it done and am fairly happy with it. All the shapes are right in the right places. It's all nice and solid, so can't complain about that. That's gonna finally wrap it up for this video. Sorry about the length. Pretty sure it's going to be over an hour. It's going to probably take 7 hours to upload, but that's okay. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next installment of the VK Brock Tribute. Until then, see you next time. Ciao, ciao.